shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. And whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemy, but the things I stop, put all in thee. Believe you got the world in your hand. You bless me, Lord, I know I can stand. Show me the way, Lord. I will be faithful, for I am desolate and afflicted. Lord, show me the way.
Then I want to say to the people that are watching us live on the internet, good afternoon. And as always, it is good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. You know, things are going on in the world, sisters and brothers. And it is a time, if you didn't know any better, it would be scary times. Because politicians are going crazy. And everybody is talking and you don't know what they mean. But there's something going on that the Bible talks about, sisters and brothers. And this is what this lesson was based on. This lesson is based on two factions of people that's going to eventually go to war and bring all the world into it. And those factions are Eastern Europe, Russia, and all the people of the east of the Euphrates River, and also Western Europe, which is called the European Economic Community. And the Bible called in Zechariah the two mountains of brass. And that's what we titled this lesson, the two mountains of brass. Because no matter how we try and figure the United States into this thing, sisters and brothers, the United States is a minor player. We have some major conversation, major big mouths in the place, but when it comes down to this last day prophecy, sisters and brothers, United States is not even on the map, or nothing else in the United States. You know, like a young woman called me last week or a week before last, I forgot. But anyway, well, you know, she sounded like she was so alarmed. What's the thing about to happen? What's that? Well, Obama was the Antichrist. What? My thing was Obama or nobody else in the United States is the Antichrist, or what I like to call it, like the Bible called it, the false prophet. Because when you use the word Antichrist, that covers a whole lot of people. A bunch of Antichrists is going to be standing in the pulpit tomorrow. But what we're talking about is the abomination of desolation, which the Bible calls the false prophet. But we're not concerned about that. What I'm concerned is about where the nations are going to be mobilized. And it's all centered around Israel, sisters and brothers. This is one of the things that it took some time to resonate with me. I said, no matter where I go in this book or what is written about, it's all centered around Israel. And when Israel time is up, the world time is up. Now we're going to start this in Zechariah, the first chapter. Because the Lord gave some long prophecy. And this prophecy started out with the Lord talking about the condition of the world, the peace in the world, but the conditions upon Israel. And an angel wanted to know what about Israel. We're going to start this at Zechariah, the first chapter, Zechariah chapter 1, and we're going to start reading at verse 7. Zechariah 1 and 7. Okay, go ahead.
Upon the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month Sabbath.
Go ahead.
In the second year of Darius came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse. And he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom. And behind him were their red horses speckled in white.
Go ahead.
Then said I, O my Lord, what are these?
Now this this is prophecy Zechariah did this during the time of King Darius. And he saw these horses. And there was 4 of them, and he asked, what are these? Go ahead and read.
And the angel that talked with me said unto me, I will show thee what these be. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said,
go ahead.
These are they whom the Lord hath sent to walk to and fro through the earth.
See, the Lord is controlling this earth, sisters and brothers. Now, this is symbolism as some men riding on the horses, but we're going to show you that this is always also talking about only 4 angels that the Lord have chose to keep this earth in order to keep this man from committing suicide before time. So now, he said, who are these? He said, look, these are the ones that the Lord has sent for to and fro on the earth to do what? Go ahead.
And they answered the angel of the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees and said, We have walked to and fro through the earth.
Go ahead.
And behold, all the earth sitteth still and is at rest.
Now, these guys are keeping the earth still at rest. They're shaking sabers. They threatening with nuclear weapons and everything else. But these angels are controlling it. God got it all under control, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
Then the angel of the Lord answered and said, O Lord of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 70 years? So now, once he looked at all these angels have the whole earth at rest, he wanted to know, what about Israel? So how long will you have indignation against Israel these 70 years? Because the Lord told us that he was going to take Jerusalem down, and the land was going to be, and we're going to be in captivity for 70 years, but we're going to find out it's a little longer than that. So the question is, what 70 years? We're going to go to Jeremiah, the 25th chapter, and find out. Because this angel wanted to know, how long, Lord, are you going to be angry at Israel these 70 years? Because this is at the end of the 70 years for this time. We're going to Jeremiah chapter 25. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Jeremiah 25 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. That was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Now, this is when the first Nebuchadnezzar had come to power, and this was the first of the last 3 kings that Israel have ever had. So this is when he got this message. Jeremiah got it. Go ahead and read. The which Jeremiah the prophet spake unto all the people of Judah, and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, go ahead. From the 13th year of Josiah the son of Ammon, king of Judah, even unto this day, that is the 23rd year, the word of the Lord had come unto me, and I have spoken unto you, rising early and speaking, but ye have not hearkened. He said, look, from the time of Jeremiah, even to this, Josiah, even to this day, the word of the Lord is coming to me. And I've come and spoke to y'all, but you will not listen. This is what he's telling Judah, our forefathers. Go ahead and read. And the Lord hath sent unto you all his servants, the prophets. Go ahead. Rising early and sending them, but ye have not hearkened, nor inclined your ear to hear. Not only, Jeremiah said, have he sent me, he sent all of his servants, the prophet, to you, telling you to change your behavior, but you refuse to hear. See, this is why our brothers don't understand. Nobody is responsible for our condition but us and our Father. The Lord said, I've come to you and I sent all of my prophets, but you won't hear. Skip down to verse 8. Verse 8 and go ahead. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, because ye have not heard my word. Go ahead. Behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, saith the Lord, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and will bring them against this land. Go ahead. And against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them, and make them an astonishment, and an hissing and perpetual desolation. See, that's how the Lord do. He gonna try and talk to you and get your attention, see if you would do what he said, but if you don't, then he get tired. He said, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring all the families of the north. I'm going to bring them down, and they're going to destroy this land.
Because we're going to find out, sisters and brothers, that the family of the north is the one going to end this thing before the Lord comes. He said they're going to destroy this land. Go ahead and read.
Verse 10. Moreover, I will take from them the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones and the light of the candle.
Go ahead.
And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment. And these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years.
He said, now, this whole land is going to be destroyed. And you are going to serve the king of Babylon 70 years. Now, sisters and brothers, this is a long time. We're going to show you that the king of Babylon, like Nebuchadnezzar, didn't live for 70 years. Not this 70 years. He might have got to be 70, but not the years that we're talking about. So what we're going to do is, we're going to go to Daniel, go to 2 Chronicles, and let's start with the last king that we ever had, Zedekiah. Let's go into 2 Chronicles, the 36th chapter. Because he tells him you're going to serve the king of Babylon 70 years. But we're going to find out the king of Babylon stretches a little low, is more than just an individual. 2 Chronicles chapter 36. 2 Chronicles chapter 36. And we're going to start reading at verse 11. 2 Chronicles chapter 36. And we're going to start reading at verse 11. Okay, go ahead.
Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem.
Now this is the last king we ever had. Israel haven't had a king since then. Zedekiah, go ahead and read.
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his God, and humbled not himself before Jeremiah the prophet, speaking from the mouth of the Lord.
Go ahead.
And he also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear by God. But he stiffened his neck and hardened his heart from turning unto the Lord God of Israel.
See, look, this guy did evil in the sight of the Lord. Wouldn't listen to the prophet. Didn't want to hear nothing God had to say. Then the Lord had broken a deal between Zedekiah and Nebuchadnezzar because he wanted Judah to stay there, because he wanted always to be able to say, this is my people, and reach, and they would have a government up on this earth. But Zedekiah rebelled against Nebuchadnezzar and broke the covenant that God had really broken between him and the Chaldeans. Then after a while, you keep messing with God, he's going to do something to you. Go ahead and read.
Moreover, all the chief of the priests and the people transgressed very much after all the abominations of the heathen, and polluted the house of the Lord, which he had hallowed in Jerusalem.
See, when the king go bad, the nation goes bad. When the leader is crazy and a liar, the nation go crazy and lie. That's just the way it is. Except for a handful of people that's familiar with God. So they all went crazy. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place.
Now look, when the Lord keeps trying to straighten you out, that's because he has passion on you, sisters and brothers. He don't want to do you in. But wouldn't nobody listen? Go ahead and read.
But they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people till there was no remedy.
And that's what's happening to you nowadays. When you go and tell people, look here, you better turn away because the Lord's going to bring this world to, they mock you. Oh, you know, everybody been saying for generation to generation that the world is going to come to an end. We still here. You know, make fun of you. Holy Joe. Get out of my face. But the Lord said, look, you keep doing that, and this is what's going to happen. Go ahead and read.
Therefore he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary.
Go ahead.
And had no compassion upon young man or maiden, old man, or him that stooped for age. He gave them all into his hand.
So he brought Nebuchadnezzar down on him. He killed everybody. And the ones he didn't kill, he took into captivity. He don't care whether you was old or whether you was a child or even an armed baby. They kill a whole lot of Israelites. Skip down to verse 20 and go ahead.
And them that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon.
And the ones that he didn't kill, he carried away to Babylon. Go ahead and read.
Where they were servants to him and his sons until the reign of the kingdom of Persia.
So we know, now so the Medo-Persian took over the Babylonian kingdom. Because we're going to show you that Daniel looked at this, and Daniel saw some stuff that he read out of prophecy. And when he saw Babylon come to an end, he knew that, hey, there's much more to this than meets the eye. But he's going to say he's going to be there until the kingdom of the Persian, because the Median first. The Medes nowadays are the Russians, sisters and brothers, and the Persians are the Iranians. So the Medes took over after Nebuchadnezzar's son, Belshazzar, died. Then the Medo-Persian took over the Medo-Persian both. When the Medes took first, and then when the Medes had served a little while, then the Persian took over. And after the Persian came the Greeks, sisters and brothers. So now, he said, kept him till the kingdom of Persia. Go ahead and read.
To fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah.
Go ahead.
Until the land had enjoyed her Sabbaths. For as long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbath to fulfill 70 years.
So that's the only time Israel could keep, the land of Israel could enjoy a Sabbath, with us not being in it. Ain't that something? Said, but you're going to be gone out of it for 70 years. Now, Daniel's read this, sisters and brothers. He read this and he saw, look at here, there's a little more to this than meets the eye. The reason is because Daniel was taken when Nebuchadnezzar come up the first time. They took him and a whole lot of young men, and Daniel and the young men that he said that understood, that was wise, of the royal seed, and understood science and stuff like that. He wanted to train them in the language of the Babylonians. And when they get big enough and get grown, he could use them as advisors. So Daniel was taken during the first thing. But then Daniel was reading this book of Jeremiah that we read. And Daniel read some stuff that he said, this don't fit. Let's go into Daniel, the 9th chapter, and look at it. Daniel chapter 9. And we're going to start reading that verse 1. Because sometimes, you can look at what's going on around you, and you say, hey, I read prophecy, and prophecy talked about more than this, because Daniel lived through it. He was taken out under Jehoiakim, and he was down and was taken as a young man, and he stayed down there the whole 70 years. So when you have witnessed the whole 70 years, then you know when something is wrong, because he read prophecy. And the rest of it, he experienced by living. Let's look at the prophecy here. Let's look at Daniel now. He was reading the book of Jeremiah. Daniel 9:1. Go ahead and read.
In the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes.
See, this prophecy during the time of Darius now. Because Nebuchadnezzar is gone. So now, Darius, the seed of the Medes. Go ahead and read.
Which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet.
See, Daniel was reading the prophecy of Jeremiah. So he understood by books the number of years that Judah was supposed to lay into captivity, which was 70. Go ahead and read.
That he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. And I set my face unto the Lord God to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes.
Now, he started to pray because there's something more to this than meets the eye. Because I done lived this time. And some of the things we're going to read, Daniel read and said, this didn't happen like that. Skip down to verse 20. Go ahead, because while he was praying, an angel was sent to him. Verse 20. Go ahead and read.
And whilst I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication before the Lord my God for the holy mountain of my God.
Go ahead.
Yea, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation.
So he said, while I was praying and confessing the sins of my father and everything, then the man, well, we know Gabriel is not a man, he's an angel. Like a brother read to me, said, a messenger of God ain't nothing but an upright man. I told him other thing, but then I even hit one brother with this. Then when the last time you've been able to just get up and fly somewhere? He was called to fly swiftly, and it touched him about the time of the evening sacrifice. That's the oblation. Go ahead and read.
And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding.
He said, I have now come forth to give you skill and understanding. Because that's when the Spirit come upon you, sisters and brothers. He got a message from God. He going to tell you something. Go ahead and read.
At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth. And I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved.
Go ahead.
Therefore understand the matter and consider the vision.
Go ahead.
70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city.
He changed it right there. First it was 70 years. But now he says 70 weeks. Then what is it? That's 70 weeks of years. That have stretched that thing way out, haven't it? 70 years. But if you say 70 weeks of years, how many years is that? That goes from 70 years to 490 years. That changed the whole dynamics. But there was a lot that had to be done here. 70 weeks are determined upon the holy city. Go ahead.
To finish the transgression.
Wait a minute. Finish the transgression. We still sinning. But there was an end of the transgression. That's when the Lord died on the cross. Then you can put an end and you can get yourself out from under this death sentence. To finish the transgression, go ahead.
And to make an end of sin. And to make reconciliation for iniquity.
And to make reconciliation for the iniquity, go ahead and read.
And to bring in everlasting righteousness.
Go ahead.
And to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy.
And to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up the vision and prophecy. Prophecy is still going on. And to anoint the most holy, sister and brother. So he talked about a whole lot of stuff. That's why Daniel was praying. Look here. I read all this stuff that he said in Jeremiah that this is not happening. Go ahead and read.
Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times.
Now I can see why he said it. Jesus didn't come during the time of the Medo-Persian Empire. And the last of the Medo-Persian Empire, that's when Cyrus, the Persian, sent Ezra and Nehemiah them back there to build a temple. Wasn't no Messiah there. Jesus didn't come in that time, sisters and brothers. And then, let alone did he come, wasn't nobody anointed. He said, look, and the temple going to be restored. And it's going to be built in troublous time. Go ahead and read.
And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself.
Go ahead.
And the people of the prince shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary.
Go ahead.
And the end thereof shall be with the flood. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined.
Now that took it right on down to the anointing of Jesus, to the crucifixion of Jesus, and to the destruction of Jerusalem by Titus in 70 AD. This took it all the way down. That's why Daniel was praying. Look here, I didn't see all this stuff go on. Go ahead and read.
And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week.
And this is Messiah. This is Jesus. He's going to confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. See, the Gentiles gone in there and made the 7-year tribulation out of this. I mean, Antichrist going to come, and he's going to make a covenant with many for 1 week. In the middle of the week, he's going to break the covenant. What's this confirm? Does confirm and make mean the same thing? See, the covenant that God made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jesus came to confirm that covenant. For 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause sacrifices and oblation to cease. Go ahead and read.
And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate.
Now, he took it all the way down, sisters and brothers. But still, there was some more that Daniel saw that really made him think, God, please show me what's going on. I done lived through these 70 years. I have seen it. And what Jeremiah said, it didn't go like he said. Now let's go back to Jeremiah, the 25th chapter. And let's look at some more stuff that Daniel saw. Jeremiah chapter 25. See, you can have people tell you something sometime, and then you go in and it's not like that. Well, you know, you go around the house and you go across town, and you're going to see a guy in a yellow truck, and he going to give you $20. You go across town, you don't see no yellow truck, and you don't see no $20. Now you wonder, am I in the right place? Now you want to go back and get some information. Did you give me the right information? Or did I hear wrong? Jeremiah 25, we're going to start at verse 12. Because it's the most stuff that he saw also. Verse 12, go ahead and read.
And it shall come to pass when 70 years are accomplished that I will punish the king of Babylon.
Now this is what really got me. And that got Daniel's too. He said, and it shall come to pass when the 70 years are accomplished, I will punish the king of Babylon. Wait a minute. Babylon's kingdom was over with the Medo-Persian time. I don't remember God punishing Nebuchadnezzar. Go ahead and read.
And that nation, saith the Lord, for their iniquity, and the land of the Chaldeans, and will make it perpetual desolation.
Go ahead.
And I will bring upon that land all my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah had prophesied against all the nations.
He said, now I'm going to bring all this against Nebuchadnezzar. All that Jeremiah prophesied. Go ahead and read.
For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also.
So now he's saying that Babylon is not going to be taken down by one nation. So many nations is going to come and serve themselves on Babylon. This is going to be a war between Babylon and a whole lot of nations. Go ahead and read.
And I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to the works of their own hands.
Now, Daniel's read this. But Daniel saw something else too. He saw how Babylon ended. And let's go and see if many nations took Babylon down. Or did it end another way? Let's go into Daniel's the 5th chapter. Daniel's chapter 5. Because that's the significance of prophecy. If you see prophecy say something's going to happen this way, then you follow prophecy. If something get out of line, you ain't worried about it. Just wait on it. Because God put this thing in order and can't nobody alter it. So now we're going to show you what Daniel saw. Because he lived through all of this. That's one of the big advantages. You live through a period of time that the prophets talk about. Then you know what happened in it because you saw it every day. Now let's look what Daniel saw here during that 70 years. 5 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the gold and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Ain't
that something? So while he was in his wine, in other words, he got a little drunk and he did something stupid. He went and got the holy vessels. Still, they was holy. Even though the Lord had Nebuchadnezzar get them, and Nebuchadnezzar didn't get them and pollute them. They just put them and stored them in a storeroom. This guy going to get them, and he's going to drink wine. Go ahead and read.
Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. And the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them.
Go ahead.
They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone.
That's kind of familiar, ain't it? They praised material things. But the God that they should have been praising, they didn't mention his name. Go ahead and read.
In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace.
Go ahead.
And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against another.
That's what you call scared, sisters and brothers. So here they're drinking wine and cavorting, they're talking crazy and this and praising wood and praising gold and praising silver. All of a sudden, some fingers of a hand just materialized and clear out, poof, and went on across there and wrote on the wall. All of a sudden, I don't care how drunk Belshazzar was, he sobered up. And you know that can happen in a minute. And he called in for all his wise men because he was so scared that his knees was knocking. But they couldn't help it. Skip down to verse 8 and read it.
Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof.
They couldn't read that right. So he's standing there trembling, and somebody told him, hey, you got somebody in your kingdom that can read it. Skip down to verse 13. Verse 13 and go ahead.
Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, art thou that Daniel, which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry?
Now, are you the one that he brought out of Jewry? In other words, are you that Daniel that was a captive that Nebuchadnezzar my father brought? Daniel told him, yeah. Can you read this right? And if you can, he said, anybody that can read it, I will give them a chain of gold and make them third ruler in the realm. Daniel wasn't interested in that. Skip down to verse 17. Verse 17 and read it.
Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let thy gifts be to thyself.
He said, look, I ain't concerned with your gift. Go ahead and read.
And give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king and make known to him the interpretation.
But still, I'm going to read this writing to you. And I'm going to let you know what the Lord done said about you, mister. Skip down to verse 25. Verse 25. And go ahead.
And this is the writing that was written. Many, TKL, Upharsin.
Go ahead.
This is the interpretation of the thing.
Now, I just show you what the writing said. Now I'm going to interpret it, the language. Go ahead and read.
Meaning, God had numbered thy kingdom and finished it.
Meaning, God have numbered thy kingdom and finished it. And mister, he done pulled a time clock on you. Go ahead and read.
TKL, thou art weighed in the balances and are found wanting.
He weighed you, mister, and you come up lacking. Go ahead and read.
Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians.
Already. I have divided your kingdom, and I done gave it away. Why are you sitting there? And I mean, he gave it to him real quick. Skip down to verse 30. Verse 30 and read it.
In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain.
Not a week later, not a month later. That very night, I mean, God must have really was tired of this cat. That very night that he drank out of the cups and everything, he killed him. Go ahead and read.
And Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old.
So now Darius, the Medians, or Darius the Russian, took over the kingdom. He inherited the kingdom, sisters and brothers. But what Daniel has read and what Jeremiah has said, that look, a host of kings, of many nations, and many kings going to serve themselves on Nebuchadnezzar, on Babylon. How many kings went to war against Babylon here? Nobody, sisters and brothers. That means we have to look further. He was not talking about Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon. He was talking about a Babylon that was going to come up in the future. But if we don't read prophecy, we never know that. So let's go and see if we can pursue this just a little bit further. Let's go into Jeremiah the 50th chapter. Jeremiah the 50th chapter. Because Daniel saw all this. Look here, it's too many things going on here that don't fit. Now, I witnessed this thing. I have lived through the total taking down of Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar. I have lived to see him die. I have lived to see his son assassinated and the kingdom given to Darius the Median. But still, I haven't seen all of this stuff. Jeremiah 50 and verse 1. That's why it is good to understand prophecy, sisters and brothers, because you can look at the world and you know what's going on while everybody else is biting their fingernails. That's why the Lord wasn't just talking about Christmas tree. He said, don't be dismayed at the things that the heathen are dismayed in. You know better. You know better. 50:1. Go ahead.
The words that the Lord spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard. Publish, and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken. Baal is confounded. Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces.
See, Daniel's read this. He looked at all this, and look what else it said. Go ahead and read.
For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate.
Go ahead.
And none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast.
Well, look, did this happen to Babylon? No. But this is the Babylon of the future, sisters and brothers, out of the north. Well, Babylon is a northern kingdom. Both of these, Europe period is north of Jerusalem, sisters and brothers, in Israel. You got two parts of Europe. You got Eastern Europe and you have Western Europe. But you see, out of the north came a nation, some nations that jumped Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, Babylon rather, but not Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon. So now, you're looking at this, and Daniel's looked at this, and he said, look here, I didn't see this. Go ahead and read.
In those days and in that time, saith the Lord.
In those days and in that time, go ahead and read.
The children of Israel shall come. They and the children of Judah together.
Go ahead.
Going and weeping. They shall go and seek the Lord their God.
That's not happening. That haven't happened. When this happened, then the children of Israel and Judah going to go weeping and seeking the Lord their God. This is a time when we will go back and return. Go ahead and read.
They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, come and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten.
See, this time they're going to do it right. He said they're going to ask the way of Zion with their face toward it. And look what else he said. Go ahead and read.
My people have been lost sheep.
My people have been lost sheep.
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Their preachers and their leaders have caused them to go astray. And their kings. Go ahead and read.
They have turned them away on the mountain. They have gone from mountain to hill.
Go ahead.
They have forgotten their resting place.
And we don't know. They have gone from government to government. Big governments to cities, going all over the world. And they've been scattered, so they have forgotten their resting place. They don't even know where we're supposed to be at. It's like us. Look at all these people in this entire hemisphere don't have a clue that they belong to the nation of Israel and that they are the people of this Bible. They believe that they are Gentiles. Not understanding, unless there's a real torque in nature, there is no black Gentile. Go ahead and read.
All that found them have devoured them. And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers.
Look, he didn't say some that found them. All that have found them have devoured them. I don't care who it is, what nation, what nationality, what race, everybody come against us have devoured us. Everybody can sell us stuff. All the businesses in our community look like somebody else, but you can't set up one business in Chinatown. You can't set up a hot dog stand in Greektown down there and go to south, west, where the Mexicans are, and set up a business, see who's going to come to it. Go to northwest, where the Puerto Ricans are. Ain't nobody going to patronize you. In fact, you don't patronize you. That's why the meat house went belly up. But everybody that found you have devoured you. What verse are we?
That was the end of 7.
Go ahead and read.
Remove out of the midst of Babylon and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans and be as the he-goats before the flocks.
That's what he's telling you. First, you got to be removed mentally. In other words, you got to understand God and start keeping his commandments. Don't take part of her statutes, of her behavior. That's what you got to do first. Go ahead and read.
For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country.
Oh, he didn't say one nation, didn't he? He said, I'm going to raise up and cause to come against Babylon an assembly of great nations. It's going to be more than one nation. It ain't going to just be Russia by herself. Go ahead and read.
And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken.
Go ahead.
Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And Chaldean shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord.
See, Daniel's read this. He said, wait a minute. Babylon didn't end like that. Belshazzar died, Nebuchadnezzar's son. And Darius the Mede, or Darius the Russian, inherited the kingdom. It didn't go like this. Didn't a whole lot of nations come together and take her down? So the angel, when he said 70 weeks, then that said it in the future, sisters and brothers. Even in our time. Skip down to verse 16. Verse 16 and go ahead.
Cut off the sword from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle of the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land.
See, Babylon is going to be a melting pot of people too, sisters and brothers, just like America in here. But he said, when this time comes, when he started bringing that northern kingdom down on Babylon, we're going to find out which is Babylon the Great. He said, everybody is going to turn to their own people. And then they're all going to flee to their own land. I do wonder, where your land is, Mr. and Mrs. Negro? Going to Mississippi ain't going to be good enough. But I'm going back to Africa. Where on the continent? That's a big continent. This is what you got to do. Everybody. That's why everybody in this hemisphere except for us know where they come from. Ask a German. What kind of American? I'm a German American. Another, I'm a Russian American. I'm a Greek American. I'm Italian American. Ask you, I'm African American. Wait a minute, African is the whole continent. Where do you belong on it? So when you come to flee to your own land, you ain't going to know where you're supposed to go. You're going to suffer through this thing. Then the Lord is going to have to send and get you. Go ahead and read.
Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away.
Go ahead.
First, the king of Assyria had devoured him.
That's the one that took away the 9 tribes, which you ain't never seen again. Go ahead and read.
And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had broken his bones.
And Nebuchadnezzar is the one that took the 3 tribes out. And so we have been enslaved from one country to another. That's why it always miffed me when my Hebrew brothers talking about America. We just went enslaved. You were enslaved way before that. Come about 400 years. We're talking thousands of years. In fact, we have been enslaved longer than we have been a nation. So how you going to holler about 400 years in America? This thing here, but Daniel saw it. Jeremiah wrote about it. What verse are we?
We're at verse 18.
Go ahead and read it.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria.
He said, now where's the Assyrians now, sister and brother? Do everybody know what Assyrians are? See, Syria is not the Assyrians. Assyrians were Hamite. They were black. They took out the 9. Where are they? Don't nobody know, because the Lord done punished them. He done took them out. Where's Nineveh, the great city? He took them out. And he said, I'm going to do the same thing to Babylon that took out my 3 tribes that I did to the Assyrians that took out the 9 tribes. Skip down to verse 41. Verse 41. And go ahead.
Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth.
Now it's the north, a great nation, and many kings shall be raised from the coast of the earth. Sisters and brothers, go to Eastern Europe, go north. You can't find nobody that's north of Russia. And all the kings of the east, from the coast, go further west. Ain't nobody more west than Russia, sisters and brothers. And everybody on the other side of the Euphrates River going to be on Russia. That's why China and Russia have signed a non-aggression pact. Even done military exercises together. And now Russia is putting together her house and everybody over here along. Oh, that's except our president, of course. But go ahead and read.
Verse 42. They shall hold the bow in the lands. They are cruel and will not show mercy.
Go ahead.
Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses.
Go ahead.
Every one put in array, like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon.
He said, look, these guys going to be cruel. They ain't going to show no pity. Everyone. I mean, they come to kill. Skip down to verse 46. Verse 46 and go ahead.
At the noise of the talking of Babylon.
At the noise of the taking of Babylon. Go ahead.
The earth is moved. And the cry is heard among the nations.
Look, didn't nobody hear nothing when Darius inherited the Babylon in the days of Belshazzar when the Lord assassinated. He got killed in the quiet of the night. And the next day, they quietly appointed Darius the Mede. But when Babylon is taken down, the whole earth is going to be shaken. Everybody going to know what's going on. Because, sisters and brothers, this is going to be the biggest war that this man has ever had since he been on the planet. Because he's going to bring Eastern Europe against Western Europe. And America's going to have to be on somebody's side. And when they're looking at things down, it don't necessarily mean it's going to be on Western Europe's side, don't it? That's why I tell people, let's wait till the dance starts before we choose a partner. So let's go and look at it, this great falling of Babylon. Let's go into Revelation, the 17th chapter. I'm not lying. I'm looking at this thing. And I'm not where everybody else is. I don't know who we're going to go to this dance with. Revelation 17, because the Lord said the taking of Babylon is going to be heard to the ends of the earth. 17 and 1. Revelation 17 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither.
Go ahead.
I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
Now he's going to tell you the judgment of the great religion that rule over many people, sisters and brothers, that says the religion of God. It's just like a woman out there in the streets dealing with some woman's wife. When you catch him out there, well, I'm his husband. No, his wife is at home. That makes her a great whore. You understand? Same with the religion. It didn't come from God. So the great whore that sits upon many waters, that's the great religion that rules over many people, because that's what the waters. Go ahead and read.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
So all the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her and been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. What's that wine? Bad doctrine, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Now, this is the whole European dynasty, sisters and brothers. And this woman riding this beast. That's why I knew that England had to drop out of the European Economic Community, because England is Protestant, and all the rest of them nations that's leading are Catholic. So if you are riding the beast, that means you're ruling it. Isn't that correct? See, England wouldn't bow to Papa. They broke up years before and got their own thing. The Anglicans, they are Protestants. So that's why I knew. So, but these here, this woman was riding this scarlet-colored beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. And what are the 7 heads? Babylonian, 1. Medo-Persian for 2. And the Greek, remember, the Greeks had Alexander the Great died young. His 4 generals took over. So that made 6. And then the next one, the Roman heads. That's the 7. Who are the 10 horns? That's what's going on now in Western Europe, sisters and brothers. It was 10. England opted out. So as soon as England finished their clean break, somebody else is going to be in there. You know why I know? The same reason I know England was going to drop out, because I know prophecy. It's got to be 10. So this resurrection of this beast, we're looking at it right now. It's called the resurrection of the Holy Roman Empire, but it have another name too. Read it. Let's run into it. Go ahead and read.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
See, that cup is what we've been drinking out of, sisters and brothers. We've been drinking. We got abomination. Out of that cup came Easter and Christmas and going to heaven, the rapture. First day of the week is the Christian Sabbath day. Sunday, sun worshiping, came out of that. That comes from Catholic Church, which they got from the Hamites. They didn't even give you a genuine product. They gave you a secondhand product. And what was written on this head of this beast? Go ahead and read.
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
So the church got a whole lot of children, but also Babylon, you talk about the daughters of Babylon, don't you? Babylon the Great. Why are we talking about Babylon the Great in Revelation? Babylon fell. I won't say fell. Babylon went out of existence even before Daniel the prophet died. So what Babylon we talking about now? Right there, the European Economic Community. That is the Babylon we talking about. The mother of harlots. And it is a mystery because don't nobody know it. Go ahead and read.
Verse 6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus.
Go ahead.
And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration.
See, because it's still Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian kingdom. Remember when the Lord had that statue was one statue. Had a head, which was Nebuchadnezzar, and the toes, which was European Economic Community. One statue. So no matter how it is, nobody in this world ruled over anybody that Nebuchadnezzar had not ruled over. That's why it was still the Babylonian kingdom. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlot. And Jesus was killed under the Gentile dynasty, sisters and brothers. And the prophets, go ahead and read. The apostles, rather, go ahead and read.
And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carried her, which had the 7 heads and 10 horns.
So now, we're not interested in the woman in this lesson, sisters and brothers. We are interested in the beast that had the 7 heads and 10 horns. In fact, we're interested in the horns right now. We'll deal with the woman another lesson. So let's skip down to verse 12. Verse 12. And go ahead.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
Now look, these guys had not received a kingdom in John's day. So you know they didn't have no kingdom in Daniel's day and in Jeremiah's day. He said, so they had not received a kingdom as yet. Go ahead and read.
These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
So they have one mind. That's why I knew that England was going to get out. All of them had to be Catholic. All of them had to be on the same wavelength religiously. And then they're going to give their power to one man that's called a beast. England said, In fact, England wouldn't even get rid of the pound when they floated the euro dollars. All of them got euros. England got some, but they still got their pound. These are one mind. And they're going to give a power to one man, which is called a beast. Go ahead and read.
These shall make war with the Lamb.
Oh, how long are they going to be around? They're going to be around to make war with Jesus, sisters and brothers. So you know this was not Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon, don't you? They're going to make war with the Lamb. Go ahead and read.
And the Lamb shall overcome them.
Go ahead.
For he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful.
Who are those that are with him? The ones in the first resurrection. That's why not only have you been called, you have been chosen. And you was faithful. That's why you come up in the first resurrection. I'm talking about, I see why Daniel's read this thing, don't you? Had to make this prayer. Look, Lord, it's more to this than meets the eye. In fact, we still looking for the total fulfillment of the book of Daniel. Go ahead and read.
And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues.
So now you know what waters are, who the waters are that the whore that's sitting over, don't you? So all you got to do is find the greatest religion on the planet, the biggest one, and you're going to find the whore. And all you got to do is find out the one that spawned other religion. And then you're going to realize that she is the mother of harlots. She even called herself the mother church, and people are so dumb, they don't even know it. Just like Ash Wednesday, preparing you for the mark of the beast. People are so dumb, they don't know it. Because they did not read. So now, we know who the waters are, and we know who the whore is. She had a golden cup in her hand. But let's go and show you who really was running this thing. God running it all. Remember them 4 angels, them 4 chariots, 4 horsemen? Ain't nothing going down until the Lord said it goes down. Jeremiah chapter 51. Let's go back to Jeremiah chapter 51. Because, sisters and brothers, the Lord has made this thing clear. And we're looking at things that's finna jump off on the earth right now, and ain't nobody paying no attention. Tomorrow they're going to be shouting and shaking it up and shaking it down. Everybody going to be full of the Holy Ghost. Verse 1. Jeremiah 51 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind.
Yes, sir. We know what it is. That's Western Europe. Go ahead and read.
And will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her.
Go ahead.
And shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about.
The day of trouble, that's the great tribulation, sisters and brothers. The Lord is steadily telling you what time this is going to take place. Skip down to verse 6. Verse 6 and go ahead.
Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul.
Now he's telling everybody's a part of it. Better flee out of it. First you got to flee by your knowledge and your behavior and keeping the Lord's laws and statutes. And then he'll give you the eyes to see when it's time for you to flee physically. Because there is a time. Go ahead and read.
Be not cut off in her iniquity.
Don't get cut off with her, because if you don't get from among her, you're going to get everything that he's going to pour on her. Go ahead and read.
For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense.
Because this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. Go ahead and read.
Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad.
They're going to wake up. Man, you know, this is what we've been told. The nations are drunk now. And the Lord started bringing drama on Babylon, then they're going to find out. This is not like what I've been told. Now they're angry. Go ahead and read.
Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed.
Go ahead.
We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the sky.
See, when this started happening, say, hey, let's forsake her and let us go into our own country. That's why you better have some knowledge, or you don't know where your country is. Skip down to verse 11 and go ahead.
Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord had raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. For his device is against Babylon.
Now, who is the kings of the Medes? Russia and all her allies. He's telling you right here in the word, ain't nobody paying no attention. Everybody's like in a great big nap. They watching this person that's been elected, and ain't nobody looking at Russia. Yeah. Even Russia's flexing her muscles. She feels so confident until she is interfering with the affairs of this country. I mean, they feeling real exuberant. Yeah, I did it, so what? Go ahead and read.
To destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple.
Maybe Russia done read some prophecy, huh? Go ahead and read.
Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes. For the Lord had both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon.
Go ahead.
O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness.
That put it right in the last days, didn't it? Thou that dwellest upon many waters. Is your end done come now? This is time. I'm getting ready to take you down. Let's go and look at it some more. This same Babylon in Revelation 18th chapter. I'm just letting you know, sisters and brothers, all this is end time. All this is end time. Revelation chapter 18. And ain't nobody paying no attention. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Revelation 18 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory.
Go ahead.
And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
See, this is what, and Daniel knew, hey, man, this is much more than what Jeremiah, what I read in Jeremiah. So now, Babylon is fallen. Go ahead and read.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
All of them. Go ahead and read.
And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich with the abundance of her delicacy.
Go ahead.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
And the Lord keep telling his people, come out of her. Whether it's in the old or new, come out of her, my people. So you won't be partakers first of her sin. Then you won't be partakers of her punishment. But you got to come out of her. The Lord is going to deliver Israel the same way he did in Egypt. But whether you get away from the destruction to come is going to depend on your knowledge and your righteousness. I used to have a guy tell me, well, boy, I'm going to watch you. And when I see you leaving here to go to the wilderness, I'm gonna follow you. How you ain't gonna follow me nowhere? Because the Lord said the fools ain't gonna err there, and you're a fool. You do everything wrong. You kick against Jesus. You do this, but you gonna follow me. It ain't gonna happen. When I get ready to leave, you was, oh man, go ahead on, man. I'm gonna hit this last hit of whiskey here. So he says, fallen, and the people are going to pull away from her. He said, get out of her, my people, because he's going to do some ugly stuff to her. Let's go back to Isaiah, the 13th chapter. Isaiah chapter 13. I'm just letting you know, this is talking about Babylon the Great. All this stuff is talking about what's going to happen to Western Europe, but the Lord is going to deal with Eastern Europe too. But right now, he's talking about what he's going to do to the West. And people think that there's a real separation of church and state. It's convenient now, so I like it. You understand? Keep the state out of the church's business. However, the church is the state and the state is the church because the same people make them up. I just look at this Gentile and got this wrong as long as he had the word of God. Verse 13, Isaiah chapter 13, rather. Isaiah chapter 13, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. 13 and 1. Okay, read it.
The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see.
Now, Isaiah saw it. He didn't read Jeremiah's book, but he saw it because he was before Jeremiah. Go ahead and read.
Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. Exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles.
Go ahead.
I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness.
See, sisters, bro, let me point out something here. People think the word sanctification means holy and righteousness. It does not. Sanctification only means that you have been set apart to do a job. So Russia, at this point, will be God's sanctified one. I have set them on the corner to be the last nation to be taken down on this earth. In fact, Russia is going to be around after the 1,000-year millennium period. Still hostile, scared but hostile. But then after the 1,000 years over with, he's going to bring them again up against his people. So when he said his sanctified one, when you think that sanctification means holy, that means you are woefully uninformed, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations.
Kingdoms of nations. There ain't just one, is it? Go ahead and read.
Gather together. The Lord of hosts mustered the host of the battle.
Because the Lord is bringing this thing. Remember, them angels control it, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
They come from a far country, from the end of heaven.
They come from the far country, from the end of heaven. That means the end of earth, because heaven is earth is the first heaven. When you walk out of Russia, going east, where are you? You're in the west. You're in Alaska. So that's the end of it. Can't go no further. And everybody on the other side of Euphrates is going to be under Russia's banner. They come from the end of heaven. Go ahead and read.
Even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land.
So they're the Lord's weapons of indignation. Go ahead.
Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty.
So who is the one that's got Russia keying up over there? The God of Israel, sisters and brothers. That's why I ain't worrying about it. I want to see these signs so I can get out the way. Because it's going to happen. Skip down to verse 10. Verse 10 and read it.
For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth. And the moon shall not cause her light to shine.
The Lord just gave you a major clue when it's going to go down. When the sun is going to turn black, the moon going to turn red, and the stars are going to fall. That's why you better know what's going on, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 13. And he keeps putting something else in your face too. Go ahead.
Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts.
Go ahead.
And in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chase road, and as a sheep that no man taketh up.
It's going to be just like a deer that's being chased by wolves, and a sheep that no man pick up. Go ahead.
They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land.
Oh, so Jeremiah knew that too, didn't he? Because he'd been dictated to the same God. Everybody's going to turn to their own people, and everybody's going to flee to their own land. Of course, you're going to have some people that's going to go with Israel, because the Lord showed you it was a mixed multitude that came out of Egypt, and there's going to be a mixed multitude that go to the wilderness. However, the majority of the people, they're going to go back to the old country that you hear them talking about, because it's going to be too hot under the banner of Babylon. Probably going to Brussels, and the battle is going to take place in northwest Jerusalem. The Lord has already told you where it is. That's what's called the Valley of Megiddo. That's why it's called the War of Armageddon. But go ahead and read.
Every one that is found shall be thrust through.
That's why they're going to get out of there. Go ahead and read.
And every one that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished.
These Russians are going to be doing all of this when they come across that Euphrates River. I mean, they're going to do some terrible stuff, sisters and brothers. They're going to shoot up your houses. They're going to kill your children. They're going to rape your wives and your daughters. And the Lord said they're going to do this. Go ahead and read.
Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver. And as for gold, they shall not delight in it.
Can't buy them off. Go ahead and read.
Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb.
Not even a baby, baby. They're going to dash them against the rocks. Go ahead and read.
Their eyes shall not spare children.
Ain't nobody going to be spared. Go ahead.
And Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah.
I tell you, that's bad, ain't it? Everybody knew that, sister. When, even Abraham looking, where's all the smoke go up? The whole world is going to know what's going to happen when the Lord take down Western Europe and all their allies and their army especially that's going to be culminated in northwest Jerusalem, sister and brother. The whole world is going to know. That's why it said, flee out of her. Flee out of her. Because if you don't, I'm going to kill you too. And let's go back to Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. We are showing you what's going to take place in the future. That's why I'm looking at Russia. I'm saying, okay. Well, he tried to take over Chechnya. He took over Chechnya, okay. And it's going to continue. And it's going to continue. You know why? It's because he has to put his house in order. And Ezekiel, the Lord told Russia to be a shield and a buckler to all of them under him in Eastern Europe. That's why this guy do what he want to do. Putin is on a roll. If he took his shirt off, you probably have a tattoo on there, a big S, Superman. This cat think he can do anything, and he ain't scared of nothing. He must have read prophecy. Verse 24, 51 and verse 24. Oh, verse 24, okay, read it.
I have laid a snare for thee.
Verse 24. Jeremiah 51 and verse 24. Go ahead and read.
And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Lord.
The Lord said, look, I was a little pleased with Israel, but you have furthered the affliction. So all of this stuff that have happened to us, how we have been messed up and mutilated and everything, the Lord said, I'm going to give it all back to you, Babylon. That's this entire Gentile dynasty, sisters and brothers. Because he's going to hurt Ham too. But go ahead and read. Skip down to verse 27, brother. Verse 27, and go ahead.
Set up a standard in the land. Blow the trumpet among the nations. Prepare the nations against her. Call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat. Her kingdoms, Minai and Ashkenaz. Appoint a captain against her. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars.
Now, you know what? Ararat, Minai, Ashkenaz, these are eastern places, sisters and brothers, in the east of Euphrates River. You know, Ararat is where they suppose they found the Ark of the Covenant, the Noah's Ark in Turkey, okay? Mount Ararat. All these eastern, he said, I want you to prepare. I want all y'all to get ready to come up. Go ahead and read.
Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion.
So everybody's going to prepare for this great war, sisters and brothers. Great war. You know why? It's because the Lord said he's going to cast these Gentiles out because of what they did to my people. Now let's go into Zechariah, the 1st chapter. He said, I want all y'all to prepare for war. Because every now and then you need to be slapped with this a little bit so you won't go to sleep like other people. Things go good for, well, you know, I got a pretty good job, I'm making pretty good money, a few dollars in the bank, driving a nice car, drinking good whiskey. But this prophecy is still coming on down the street. So you get relaxed and start doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. You think everything has got better. It is not going to get better. Just like what they call Indian summer, right? Summer gone, all of a sudden, a couple of weeks pop up real. Oh, we ain't got to worry about winter. Next week, winter is going to devastate you. 15 feet of snow. Same thing about this. So this is still in Zechariah chapter 1 concerning what the Lord said when his angel asked the Lord, how long will it be? For these 70 years will you have this indignation against Israel? How long? And the Lord was telling them. Let's start at verse 12. Verse 12, and go ahead.
Then the angel of the Lord answered and said, O Lord of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 10 years?
So we know what the 70 years mean. That's what's going to happen at the end of, don't we? Which turn to 70 weeks. Go ahead.
And the Lord answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry thou, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy.
And he still is, sister and brother. This is what the world going to find out. The Lord don't like, even though he put us here. He said, but they got overzealous. You understand? It took me, as my knowledge increased in the Word of God, then I realized what the Ku Klux Klan meant when they said God is on our side. He was. That's why they could do all this stuff to us and get away with it, because he sent us here because we wouldn't listen. I said, okay. And by the way, you know that's a religious organization, don't you? Do y'all know that? Go ahead and read.
And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease.
Listen what he said now. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen. That's the nations that are at ease. Go ahead and read.
For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction.
He said, I was just a little displeased with my people. Go over there, maybe slap them around a little bit. But what they did, they slapped us down. They stomped on us. They raped our women. They cut out babies. They hung us. They castrated us. And not just the Gentiles, everybody did it. Some Hamites, they had a thing too. What about a Israelite baby? What they do, the baby was born, what they do, they would cut the woman's breast off. The Lord said, I didn't want you to do that. I want you to hurt him a little bit. I want you to make him scream a little bit. I didn't want you to do all this destruction. For that, now you got a debt you got to pay. Go ahead and read.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercy. My house shall be built in it, saith the Lord of hosts.
Go ahead.
And a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem.
So I'm going to return. My house is going to be built in it. Go down to verse 18. Verse 18, and go ahead.
Then lifted I up mine eyes.
Then Zechariah lifted up his eyes, and what happened? Go ahead and read.
And saw, and behold, 4 horns.
And he saw 4 horns. Go ahead and read.
And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these?
What are these 4 horns? Go ahead.
And he answered me, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem.
He said, these are the horns that have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem.